Yebo sanibona. Nginibingelele sanibonani. Good afternoon everyone. Nhlanhlu unomfundo kagama. Yebo siyajabula ukuba nani. Nonke mathiro. Amanye amagama ngikwazi ukwasho la. Lidi. I think it's Lidi. Sanibona. Sekunesikhathi ke kakhulu singahlangani kuma live. Kuke kwaba nje nesikhathi eside impela singahlangani, so we are bringing it back with our guest umnumzane ubaba Mbuso Khoza. Ngithembe niyangizwa lapho, kuyazwakala konke. Ela nisho mawuthi kuyazwakala, like show the thumbs up. Siqhubeke sihlalo dabeni. All right. Sihlalo dabeni. Bomamhlongo unombu. Okay. Kuyazwakala, ngiyabonga. Baba Khoza kunjani?
Siyaphila njani bawo?
Hayi sikhona nathi.
Mfowethu.
Hayi no, siyajabula man, sijabule ukuba nawe
Yes sir.
kulosuku. Ngizocela nje ukuthi ngoba ngingixolise ngokungayenzi research yami. Ngizocela ukuthi nje uthi ukuzethula and then sihlalo odabini.
Okay, since it's not only Zulu speaking people who are here, we will have to mix so that we don't leave people behind. Yes. Igama lami nguMbuso Khoza. I was born in a place called Eshowe in the north of KZN. So when you leave a beautiful city of Durban, driving towards the north, you will cross like maybe 4 rivers, Umvoti, Nonoti, Amatikulu, Chugela, and then you pass a place called Ikingindlovu. Ikingindlovu, it's because there was a battle between King Cetshwayo and his brother Umbuyaza in 1856. Because Umbuyaza was called Indlovu and Hlonti, so after he was conquered, Cetshwayo said, Ikingindlovu. This is why we have a place called Ikingindlovu today. So it falls under Onomatics, the names of the society. And then you cross another river called Nyezane. That's a river that was crossed as they were preparing the Battle of Isandlwana. And then you get to a place called Eshowe. Actually, it's Ekowe, the place of mushrooms, but because white people could not pronounce Ekowe properly. Yes, I work as a vocalist, songwriter, and also as a cultural practitioner. It means I research heritage and cultures and dissect them and try to simplify them so that someone who was born during the modern times, they get to understand the notion. Yes, so that's me. I also established a group called African Heritage Ensemble. I mentor young musicians as well. Yes.
Uma group, the one that you established, it just reminds me of album Gandabo.
Yes. Beautiful album.
Is your group involved there?
No, not at all. But I was invited as a guest artist, so I do vocals there. Yes.
Yeah.
Umgidi ensemble. Yeah.
It sounds like what do they call this? Symphonies. It sounds like symphonies, but now in African version of it.
Yes.
Okay.
By the way, I'm drinking Rooibos. In case people were thinking I'm drinking vodka. It's Rooibos.
Yeah, I know. I'm Khatini.
Yes, sir.
udaba esingalo la namhlanje we are going to be discussing about the importance or the significance of names, like just like you've
Yes.
already hinted to us,
Yes.
the history of naming with the one that
Yes.
you just hinted us with. I'd like for us to get into depth in terms of the importance of naming, nje.
Yes.
Because some people would look at it, maybe you would understand it from a branding perspective. But yeah, I'd just
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
for to look at it generally and also try to strengthen on the African perspective of it.
Yes. Yes. The importance of names. When your parent gives you a name, it's always about documenting history. Sometimes it's prophetic, sometimes it's historical, sometimes it's family feuds.
Yes.
So so in the olden days, I mean, a man or a woman would give a child a name, and as they grow, they follow, or whatever that name means, they just do exactly how they were named. But it's because in the olden days, people were honest, people were pure. I mean,
They
when you look at a woman, Wesheli Ntombi, one of the things you say, uzuzovusa umuzi kababa. So ukuvusa
yeah,
umuzi kababa, it means, oh, Tsepo sawubona. It means this person is now bringing a new journey in the family. I'll make an example with my name, Mbuso Khoza. Firstly, I was named Mbuso by my mother, but because I had no home when I was growing up, I was raised by my relatives. Uh, there was a day where we had no food for the whole day. And then this woman said, as from today, you are Mbuso Khoza. Your kingdom is coming. When you grow up, you're going to become something, you know. And when I look at my journey, I mean, I grew up, I mean, with nothing.
yeah,
I could not even name drop. Ukuthi, I'm from this family. I had to introduce myself and work hard so that people accept me. But now
right.
looking at that and what I have become, traveling the world and, you know, doing some very respected work, it means this name was indeed prophetic.
Yeah,
I'll give you another example. There is a man by the name Prince Shingana, who is the son of Prince Mbande, who is also a brother to King Cetshwayo. Because his mother was cheeky, a Shinga. This is why about Ushingana. Because isinciphiso ishinga elincane,
yeah,
Shingana, because the mother was Ishinga or was cheeky, you know. So now, one of the things that we need to note about names, it's not like it's one size fit all. Or another brother say, oh, okay, yes. He says we see things in the Bible, yes. Uh,
yeah. Wait,
yeah.
do man.
So yes. So as long as this child carries this name, it means the history of the family is documented. For
Right.
instance, we go back to Ushaga. King Shaka, actually, Uchaka, that's an olden dialect. You know, as we all know the story, when Queen Nandi and his family went to Esikebeni Palace to report the pregnancy, they said, "Aw, kushake lokhu, lo mntwana uphethwe yichaka." That was a disease of that time, and today that served as a nickname, King Shaka today. But I also wish to note that these names sometimes they are inspired by what happened in the family. For instance, you might be Umbuso, but but the reasons behind your name are not as the same as mine.
As yours, yeah.
Yes, you'll find that Mbuso, because you were born in the family that is rich.
Mbuso, yeah.
Yes, or you are born in the family that is poor, but one day umbuso wethu ukulengane, and then
ukuphazamisa nje lapho kancane
yes,
kungenzeka futhi nanokuthi kube ukuthi you were born, or ngizothini, your arrival brought along umbuso to the family.
exactly,
Like,
exactly.
uthe makufika wena wafika nombuso.
Exactly. So now, have you asked yourself, what does a word umndeni or family means? Umndeni.
I no. The only interpretation is like the general one le yokubumbana. Ngizothini, yeah, symbolic of ukubumbana, like a family.
Yeah, as we all know that no one belongs to anyone in this world, but our parents are transport to bring us into this world.
Yeah. Right.
In isiZulu, umndeni is from a verb, ukwenda. It means now when God or your creator deposits his spirit into these chromosomes or in this sperm, it means now you have to inherit the genes of this transportation that is bringing you into this world. From the word ukwenda. So now usuwendile manje wendele to these people now. So ba umndeni because wendile from your creator is. So now, because now you have inherited these genes, as you're growing up, you have to familiarize yourself with these people. So this is why they are called your family, because you are now familiar with them. And now, as to what I've just said, I mean, a woman that they drop a kid in a dustbin. So a child won't be familiar with that woman.
Yeah.
Or that man who denied the child. So they are not their family because they are not familiar with each other. Again, the langa born from emaphakadeni mayifika emhlabeni. So now when we get into the names of the people, we need to dissect them linguistically. Linguistically, how do we do that? We check the semantic applicability of the name. What does it mean? Umbuso. And then we have what we call a derivational morphology, nombuso.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So unombuso doesn't mean it means the same thing, but now because a morphological behavior is found now in this word, but without losing its meaning, it means now umbuso wesifazane kodwa use unombuso ngoba use ngowesifazane. Ukuguquka kokwakheka kwamagama ngaphandle kokuguquka kwencazelo yegama.
Yeah.
It's the same. We will touch even on. We can even touch on surnames. Surnames, it's still the names of the people. Exactly. One of the reasons people are saying siyakuthakazela is because people. I mean, languages as people are migrating, the dialect changes. It's thakazela, but actually when you are taking a closer look into this thing, it's thakaselo. It means when I see you, ngiyakuthakasela, I'm happy to see you. You know? So when I'm happy to see you, I'm going to thank the one who brought you into this world. Oh, sawubona Khoza, isibongo. Isibongo yini, it's a pronoun from a verb, ukubonga. It means now whoever established this surname that you are carrying being your surname now, but it was a name before. It means you are thanking them. This is why when people are saying when we are saying Amadlozi ancestors are demons, they can't be communicated with, then go and change your surname, because for example, we thank the one who brought you into this world. And then as we're acting, and then we begin to call on the names responsible for your surname. Isithakaselo. You know. So now we need to dissect these things and ascribe logic around them. Another thing I wish to emphasize that when we name things, one of the reasons we get offended when someone misspell your name, misspell your surname, it's because it's us who give names to things. When we name rivers, we name them because we are documenting a certain history. You know, for instance, the Tembe people, they were situated next to a river called Umtembe and a river called Umaputu. Today it's called Maputo, but it was King Maputo of the Tembes. And then because the river was called Umtembe River, today they are called Otembe. So now it means a name is from a historical occurrence. A surname is derived from
a name.
The name of the area or the name of the river or what happened at that time. For instance, Odlangamandla, when they met King Shaka planned to kill them. But because Odlangamandla had so many cows, why say enikeza uKing Shaka wathi uShaka uyosinda ngokudla ngamandla, and then basebe bahodla ngamandla labo, but not to be confused with ondla ngamandla. Yeah, kuhlukene. You know, so I think what you are doing, I mean, I also wish to appreciate you, the work that you are doing, writing about surnames, writing about the names of the people. You are making people to fall in love with who they are. And I also wish to note that what you're doing is deeper than what we think, because it falls under the names of the society, and that study is called Onomatics. When you look at the place called Banganomo, they say Prince Zibebu Peter Kasojisa said, Abantu sebebanga noma yini. Actually, it's ebanganoma, but people could not pronounce this say banganoma, you know. So sometimes we have to teach these people on how to pronounce our names. When they say, "Hey, but I can't pronounce banga," I say, "Oh, but you can say baby banganoma. Take that baby."
It's the same thing.
Yes. You know, when people are being silly, because once you translate something that is intertextual.
Yeah.
Something is going to change because it's a text. Once you, for instance, if I say umlando, and then I say umlandu, immediately it's something else, because umlando, it's something that happened long time before. But umlando, it's something that happened long time before, but it's a grudge among the family. This is why when there's something wrong in the family, someone is sick, and then they say kunomlandu okhona kuleli cele, and then they sit down bese bethatha indish beyibeke la, bethathe namanzi bese kuthiwa kukhunyelwa nomlotha, let's wash our hands and cleanse lo mlandu. You know, so these things are very, very important, and I so wish churches were teaching these things instead of selling false hope. You know, teaching people about who they are, because when you go back to the Talmud, that's how Old Testament by it's divided into different segments. Judaism, they read Torah, they still believe in Moses, and others they read from Genesis up to the book of Numbers. Others they read the whole thing and then they call it Torah. You know, so but when you read that book, you get to also to learn about a lot of things around the importance of names. Look at Israel. Israel was Jacob before, but because of the prophecy that came later was called Israel. And today we have Israelites, and we have no problem with that. But now, when you go back to the times of Unoah, there was a man by the name of Ham, and Ham had a son by the name of Ubuntu, and then there's another man by the name of Shem. And it's surprising that we have someone called Ushembe today who managed to make people to worship God the way they are. He was not God. Ushembe was not God, make no mistake. But he was a servant of God who came and taught people on how to dance the way they are. So now what I'm trying to say, it's very, 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 very important that we understand the importance of names. And another thing, when you are named, I mean, when you're given a name in your family, there is a name that is only used by your family, igama lagwenu.
Right.
And then there is a name that is used by anyone in the community. This is why when someone say sawubona bani and using that important name, and then igama lakwethu lela ungibizi ngalo ungahlawula nokuhlawula.
Asekhona nje kodwa manje lawo magama angiboni nawo umuntu abe negama.
Because of this in the colonial battles and the arrival of churches, missionaries, people began to take names from not from the Bible, take names from land, because when we say King David, there was never a person by the name of David. He was Dawid. You know, John was Nyayish. You know, so we have adopted the English names, not biblical names, because even Jesus himself was not Jesus. He was Yeshua ben Yosef. Uyeshua ka njengoshaka ka senza ngakhona.
No man, azingiphelelwa na amagama.
Yes, sir. I mean, then we can,
yeah, kubalulekile futhi kakhulu siyabonga nje siyathokoza kakhulu ngale information oyisherayo nathi. So now just to go back to one part of what you said, what you shared with us about when you mentioned umbuso no nombuso.
Yes.
What I'd like to ask lapho, which is one question I've always had, yokuthi,
yes,
when did the use of uno, the prefix no and then mbuso, when did that add a significance or associate the name? Because mostly uno, like no ntsikelelo, no mbuso, no nkazimulo, there would be a female name. So what in the no makes it to fall in that or in a particular gender?
To be honest, there is no name that is designed for women or a man. In our language, because if I were to dissect unombuso or unokuthula, excuse me, it's that prefix does not really mean that name is for a woman. Let me give you a song. There's a gospel song. Ethi onomso phezu konke izizwe siyakucinywa. So that onomso ophezu konke, you're referring to God. Unomusa. Kusho ukuthi that woman that is named nombuso, so it means it's a woman enani enombuso. You know, but now umuntu wesilisa ungaba nombuso angithi unombuso wena uqobo lakho, you know. So this thing of yokuhlukanisa izinto as if lokho kwesifazane lokho kwesilisa ayisebenzi, I mean, to certain names, but there are names ano azi I mean lokuzana I suffix now eno azi uazi kodwa uthathela ekwazini at the same time. Right. For instance, mawuthi uthando wesilisa bese uthi uthando kazi. Ukazi uthathele ekuthenini umuntu osifazane uyinkosi enkulu, uyinkosikazi. So this is why she qualifies kuthiwe uthando kazi, but you can't say that to I mean a male, because isikhuliso lo umuntu osifazane is a goddess in our culture. This is why sizothi umbuso kazi, you know. So that suffix is purely designed for a woman, simply because even kunenkosi kuba nenkosi kazi. Yes. Yeah. So no, but lo azi stands for ukwazi. This is why umuntu osifazane in the olden days, when she's preparing for the marriage, there would be a ceremony called umemulo, and the next one will be called umkhehlo. This is why when your woman is sitting with other women, when you are priding yourself in her, you say, ha nanzi aminkehli lapha kwezinye, because makwenziwa umkhehlo, there's a material called intsoyi yayithungelwa ekhanda permanently, ibe inhloko ekhanda, it's reddish or maroon ekhanda laphayana. So enza umuntu osifazane assume that position yakhe yokuba inkosi phakathi kwekhaya, abe inkehli ngoba wakhehla. And then, but way before that, she would have her spies abazohamba beyochecka on the groom side, how is the mother, how is the family. Now as they are preparing for that, she will write a poem first, inkondlo, and then later besayahaya, because ihubo li inkondlo ehayo. This is why sometimes I argue when people say King David from the Bible wrote amahubo. You know what? What did David know about amahubo? Because David wrote his poems. Sometimes he would sing. But you know, when we say siyahuba, or we have music or songs called amahubo, it's because these sounds are inspired by the reaction of the nature when the wind hits a dry grass, that, and then the rain hits the leaves of of a tree until the rivers are full. The vowel, the syllable changes to who, and then that who.
Goody who?
No, not that one. Goody who. That who that sound is produced by the river now when the river is full. And then we say imfula iyaholoba, imifula iyahuba. And then when you look at an older man singing, worshiping, you'll be like, it's because he is being reminded of the sounds that were made by nature on those valleys when he was walking around. But now David was not inspired by that. Therefore, we can never say David wrote amahubo, not unless we are trying to say we are intellectually inferior as Africans. Such as the word ukukhonza kwamadlozi and the worshipping of the ancestors. To us, etymologically, the word ukukhonza has nothing to do with worship. For instance, if I'm sitting with a Zungu man or a Zungu lady here, and then someone maybe in Peter Marisburg calls, who is a Zungu, when I say, hey man, you won't believe this, I'm with a Zungu sister here, immediately he will say, it means on their behalf. It means if they were around, it's agape love. It has nothing to do with feelings. This is why there is what you call filiere arose, the love that concerns your feelings for that person. But when you're saying it's beyond my feelings. It means I'm assuming my role as Ubuntu. I'm practicing Ubuntu unto you. ukuthi mfowethu umoya wakho mfowethu ngukhonzile, so I'm drawn to you as a human being, as a fellow human being. Therefore we need to be careful uma ngabe sesimemeza laphana but we have never studied language, we have never studied history. Sivele siphoseke eyintweni esingazazi.
Siphonseke eyintweni esingazazi, siphoseke singenalo ulwazi okufike kubuye kusikhanyisele nakungikhumbuza lapha kuyincwadi engcwele lapha kuthiwa abantu bayabhubha ngenxa yokuswela ulwazi.
Exactly.
Ebuyisa kona lokhu ukubaluleka kokuthi ungangeni kwi-discussion noma ungangeni kwi-argument ungenalo ulwazi. Rather
exactly
thola ulwazi. Yeah.
Usisuza Maswazi lapha just said more like an honor. Yes. Mangithi ngikukhonzile, it's like I honor you. So now when your parents pass away and then maybe let's get into that as well because it's interconnected. So now when your parents pass away and then you say let's do what you call a ceremony or umsebenzi. Now, because people are trying to make money through the evolutions of this world, the fourth industrialization, people have repackaged our cultures. So now when you come to Isangoma and Isangoma city, hey, I see your car rolling over and you're gonna die if you don't slaughter a cow for your ancestors. And then you think when you slaughter a cow, you'll get blessings. Go on, or what you say, dream on. Because when you are HIV positive and you take your blood and you inflict it into an animal, because our blood system are not the same, an animal will never be infected. So now, how can a soul of an animal acquire blessing on a spiritual realm on behalf of a human being? That's practically impossible. But we need to, to give our kids illogic now that when we slaughter a cow, it's a common sense. A family, members of the family from all over will gather. So you can't bring people from all over the world, the country together when there's nothing that will make them happy. As we are discussing the family history and the family spirituality now. So now people confuses this. They say maslaba and then we take inyama endlini yangenhla sithi kuyodla abadala and iphuma ingadliwe injalo bethi ayikho lento buka ayidliwa. It's symbols.
Yeah.
It's symbols. Vele ekhaya ingane mayiphekile once ukudla seku-ready, they would go to the elders and say, hey, baba no mama ukudla sekulungile, and then they prepare for the kids. So now this is a symbol yokuthi if you were still around in flesh with us, we are going to fellowship with you. But as a symbol, we are going to take this meat into this in this emsamo in the family temple. And then we take it after. So it means this food is blessed by the ancestors when you're going to eat it. So these things, they need to be dissected. How do you get ibusiso by performing umsebenzi? As people are eating, the neighbors are visiting, they're dancing and singing. You would see older women of the family bethathi induku zabo bedondolozela. Hey, bisa abantu bala ekhaya. Bisa bonke abantu bala ekhaya bezela endlini. And then as you gather, there is what you call ukusikwa kwevenge. They take the chest part of the meat and then they put it ogqokweni as kuhleliwe kusikwa ivenge, and then they begin to talk about the family history, and they say namhlanje siyabonga abantu abami lona over ade simenzele umsebenzi kunina mhlawumbe untshingwayo ozalwa mahole kabani kaba. You see now imsebenzi are more like lectures of the family. So it means we need to instrumentize our heritage with good intentions, because when you are well taught in your family about who you are, you won't need Isangoma to tell you what to do. You would know this time of the year, this is what we do for our family in remembrance of our ancestors. You know, so all these things that we are doing, even Ispandla, it doesn't mean ukuthi ukufaka kwesiphandla suneyibusisi. It's just a bangle. You know, ibhangela nje lokuthi nikhumbule ukuthi bekumnandi ekhaya nadla. Even ingane yakho, if you are my friend, bekudliwe ekhaya, izobuyisa ifaka isiphandla isithi baba bekumnandi kwababa uMbuso sasafaka iphandla. Because in the olden days they would say you never ask a Zulu man how many kids he has, because the entire village is his. My child is your child is mine. There was no rape, gender-based violence whatsoever, because we were so united as a village. Ibingekho into yokuthi naki indaba zakho. Wawuthi uma ushaya umuntu esifazane weganile kuza amadoda amadala ahlala nawo phansi athi mfana mawukho umuzi wenduku. Ube necala neyidalwa zikwazi nokukudingisa uvelelwa amabhadi. But today culture yethu has been so twisted. Christianity as an instrument of the English people, they have twisted ama teachings kaYeshua. Benza inhloso zabo ngathi. Then today singamalulwane nje thina yonke into eqhamuka umfundisi athi asidle ilokhuzana igrass siyayidla. Kuqhamuka umfundisi athi naye account faka imali lana. Kodwa awukaze wacontribute ngisho einganeni zakweni ihluphekile ekhaya uhamba unikezana nabanye abantu. So we need to talk about these things, uncomfortable truths. Singesabi. Mina ke ngikhuluma njengomuntu omdala, angikhulumeli ukuba relevant. You know, if you want to be relevant, and then you'll keep on lying, and then our kids on the other hand, they are dying.
No, kuyezwakala athi sibhekela singakanabi kakhulu ukuthi kukhona ama comment uthabile uthi, so is it safe to say that there is a misconception around the prefix uno, as in such name as Noluthando, etc.? In essence, no is not gender descriptive. I think ungakhona thingbo ngathi ucommentile futhi. Oh no, okay. Ungakhona ukusiphendulela lapho. I don't think this is a question. It's more like a comment.
It's more like a comment. Yeah, kodwa ke uyabuza ukuthi is it safe to say uno as a prefix it is not really designed for a woman. I think because injwayelo, people are used to, you know, calling umuntu wesifazane uNoluthando and then a male uthando. But my question is, what is the meaning behind uNoluthando being designed for a woman? Because when we say uthando kazi, we have a proof, because umuntu wesifazane in our culture is unkosikazi. So now that as is always applied in their name. But unobani, I doubt. It's the same with this thing. Yokuthi nangu Mbuso Khoza. There's nothing like that. Mbuso Khoza. A woman never relinquished her surname. Kuyethiwe mawukuthi intokazi yakwaDlamini noma yakwaNxumalo njengozinhle Nxumalo nje. Uma esegane kithi kwaKhoza kuzothiwa uzinhle lona okaNxumalo ogane kwaKhoza. Sometimes kushiwo igama likayise omzalayo kuthiwa okabani lo ogane kwaKhoza. Mrs. Umucheka etymology kaMrs. Again, Mrs. is someone who has no qualifications but who is just a married woman. This is why therefore we don't have it in our culture. Uba umlotsho lakwazi uhlonishwe kuthiwa nayi lokhu uma usazogana usuqomile wacela godusi ngoba vele usuzogodukiswa ugodukisele kulowa muzi ingakho ubizwa ngengodusi. So these things, they need to be explained linguistically so that people understand ukuthi kwenzakalani.
Gezwakala baba.
Next question, sir.
I had another perspective le ebe ngingathanda ukuthi sibheke kuyo njengoba we are discussing, or we are getting insight more about the importance as well of preserving our language, our culture.
Yeah.
I'm trying to look at umlando in terms of, you did mention ukuthi ngizothini njengoku name or the naming of places, naming of people, just the naming, ukuthi it does have sometimes to do with the times, or for example, so that threw me back to calendar yesintu, ukuthi inyanga zesintu ukuthi zinamwe kanjani. I think there would be interesting perspective to look at, so that we get to understand how can a name contribute in terms of storytelling, telling of a particular time, inkathi ukuthi kusuke kwenzakalani, yabo konke lokho. If you can just brief us on that, ukuthi how our calendar is and the naming of our months.
Yeah, I'm so happy that you just touched on the names of the months. This, when we check the names of the months and the days, again, this is a proof that Black people are holy. They are not they are not pagan worshippers.
Right.
Why am I saying this? When you look at the history of the Julio-Claudian dynasty, when you're talking about people like Julius Caesar, when they came into power as Roman emperors, they made sure that they monumentalized themselves. They positioned themselves as gods. As Julius Caesar took over, there was an extra month that was added, Julio.
July, is that July?
Yes, July. That's Julius Caesar. That's Julio. When you look at when you're looking at Janus, Tiberius, I think Augustus or Tiberius, when he took over as well, he added his Chico Sabo to Janus, and then we had to January. Now, when you go back to our history as Black people, to be specific, Amangoni, stroke, when you check his Zulu history on how the names came about. I think the last month, which was September, if I'm not mistaken. So now, when they were naming, let's say, January in Isizulu, they were looking again at the reaction of nature and the weather. For instance, January, it's the harvest time.
Yeah.
So now it's time umasingana siqala ukusinga iy'tshalo, iy'gabe, amathanga bese kuthiwa umasingana. Then ngoFebruary izinja ziyaqala ziyabonakala zilandelana, seziyakhinqelana, ziyagibelana bese kuthiwa unhlolanja. Uyabo. And then bese kuba khona ulokhuzana uNdasa. NgoMarch, I think siyaqala sevele kusadliwa, vele kusavunwa. Iy'ngane uthola ziyadla zize izicwala izisu zilale ibheke phezulu zigijime zitshinge phansi amathanga ziyadansazela. This is why kuUNdasa. Iy'ngane zibonakala idansazela phakathi kwecele. You know. And then bese kuba khona April, I think uMbasa, if I'm not mistaken. Sekuyaqala manje ilokhuzana. Sekuyaqala manje kuya ngokubanda. uApril usuku ususondele kuMay. Abantu sebeyabasa ngoba uMbasa isikhathi vele sekuyaqala sekubonakala iqoba lomlilo. And then umoya musuqala ukuhlabahlaba unhlaba. Abanye baze bathathe ngisho inhlaba uqobo bayifake phakathi emlilweni babasa umlilo ngathi. This is why it's called unhlaba. And then in weather, in nature, ibisiyaqala iyayihlangula. Ubona amacembe, the leaves are falling from the tree. Iy'hlahla ziyayihlangula. Unhlangulana, ibizwa ngonhlangulana leyo nyanga because iy'hlahla ziyaqala ziyayihlangula. And then uJehova noma imvelo ibise iletha umshanelo uyini usuntulikazi kusuka intuli kushanelwa ini kushanelwa lamacembe akade ehlangulwa unhlangulana
hayi
right then after unhlangulana bese kuza ulokhuzana uncwaba kusho ukuthi agquma nezintaba ke lo siyaqala ke manje izintaba ziba hlaza kancane ngenxa yokuthi ngalesikhathi kufika kusuka umoya lo obusuka ngontulikazi kube nezimvudlane ezincane ngembozisa amahlanga angithi kade sekuvuniwe seqeda ukuvuna sekusela amahlanga kungena inkomo ziyayidlela. This is why uma ngabe ushaya umuntu oweak kuthiwa ubani uyidlela amahlanga because akekho ngisho nokukhuzayo uma umshaya nenkomo uma ingena ombileni fresh ziyakhuza kodwa mase kuyihlanga ziyayeka so ubani uyidlela amahlanga so kuna lemvula enile encane ngontulikazi abantu sebeyaqala ke bashutheka okuncane ngalikathi izintaba zibancoba kukhona okukhulayo abaqala bese benzani bandulelisa ngakho ngayiphi inyanga ngomandulo uSeptember ke lo
sengiyogcina sengiyogcina le
sengiyogcina but however after umandulo bese angithi umandulo seliyana izulu njengoba kade kuSeptember nje kutshaliwe kwenzakala njengamanje sekufufusa lokho bekutshaliwe ingakho kuthiwa umfumfu lenyanga esuka ilandela but what confuses abantu abaningi ukuthi inyanga zazu9 before uSeptember I think was the last month but now kwenzwa lento abayibiza embellishment kushintshwa kwecalendar kufakwa Gregorian calendar what happened was uDecember in fact uzibandlela sorry after umandulo kwakuba uzibandlela okwakuyinyanga yokugcina in English bethini iproof yalokho ukuthi uDecember uzibandlela kwakuyinyanga ka10 ama decimal numbers angithi ama decimal numbers is the 10th number ngithi hence uDecember udecem decimal number that's what the decimal this is what so how come December being udecem being a decimal number azoba the 12th month it's because sonke ababekhonja they were busy doing their things befuna ukuthi sibuswe izinto zabo njengoba namhlanje ngazala ngoJuly angizalanga ngoJuly mina ngazala ngoNtulikazi yabo so yeah
kuningi kumele ngizothini kuningi kusamele sikulungise kodwa phela asijahe ndawo
yes kufana nalelo kuza in the days of the week insuku zesonto
yeah
ulokhuzana chabuthi ngabe sino 79 years ukube lezi nyanga edwanga yakampela ngabe yabona nje bakuna 42 ngabe ngimdala kabi
ayosibadala impela manje
but now you know what Achebe just said it's very crucial it means your age is not true your age is not true it was determined by someone else if you take care of yourself udle kahle uphuza amanzi uyeke yonke lencova leyo drive through le siyithenga egulisayo we can live up sizosihlanganisa 200 years see right futhi uma ngabe sidla kahle but because sifakele izinto esidlayo and then kwashintshwa they morphed around months and days you know but now coming back to this to the days again
yeah
it's also logical ukuthi okay isonto seliphelile manje liyasombuluka nali isonto lokuqala
right
olwesibili ngolwesithathu bona bathi moon day njengoba ku Monday Sunday uyukhumbula ukuthi I mean amaRoma ibona during 345 Anno Domini long after Saint Helena was a mother to a Roman emperor Constantine yena wayo Saint Helena wavakashela iSyria later wavakashela ibizwa ngani le ndawo lena iJerusalem, and then she discovered 3 crosses. Wathola leseyigebengu eziwu2 sikaJesu emgedeni, and then later wasezofaka iChristianity enganeni yakhe, so that they were mocking. One of the things that laba bantu abahamba le wona lawo favorite Jesu Kristu mntwana wethu Jesu Kristu lana, kufanele sicheke leyo nto ukuthi njengoba sihamba lamasonto lana sisa-monumentalize ama-emperors, ngathi i-Roman Empire ifa, kwathatha ama-popes kwaba yibona abarepresenta i-empire yase-Rome. So now uyogoba laphana, uyogoba kwenye i-kingdom ongayazi engahlangene even now. So it's important to read, it's important to ask uncomfortable questions, because even with the culture, I mean amagama are interconnected to culture. You ask yourself, why ingane izodwetshwa ebusweni, why ingane inqanyulwa imina, why ingane zenziwe izinto ezithile ekubeni umuntu epure engamele ahlukunyezwe emzimbeni. Nensizwa lapha kwangubani okuthiwa uNzombane. Yeah, I think he had a fight with King Shaka, and then they took his eyes out, and then later wathi ucela yonke ingane ezalwayo engeya kwangubani inqanyula umuli, so that mayibamba ngoba akasaboni eze ukuthi ubamba ingane yakwangubani. That was his solution at that time. But why do ingane kumele zibuye isiko izandla in the modern day? Who is it serving? Because into phela mayihlukumeza kuyayiwa emsamo ibiko kuthiwa cha kwakuyisiko leli likabani kwenzeka ukuthi nokuthi, thank you, siyabonga, sicela lingasaqhubeki, bese kuyamiswa, because culture is a man-made thing, so it can be changed around times and evolution.
Kusengenzeka phela nakho ukuthi yikukuswela ulwazi kuba abantu ukuthi uzothola ukuthi bona ongubani bahleli nje bagcina lokho, ngakho ukuthi bazama ngizothini, ngisho ukuthi bazama sibele singisi, they're trying ways to keep or to maintain the connection,
to safeguard their heritage. Yeah.
So to maintain that connection and that story, about that story ukuthi kwake kwenzeka into kanje kwase kudingeka ukuthi kunqunywe iminwe. That is an important part of their history ongubane. So I think that's part of the ways that they are probably maintaining it. Angazi ngiyaqagela nje nami.
Yakuza. But now, if when you are my son, and I'm forcing you to practice the culture that was imposed by our forefathers, but this culture is slavery to you, then it's not culture, it's cult. Culture, and let me put it like this: history is an intervention to record set of events, and then later culture is born because of what happened in the olden days. So now, when you say now this culture is practiced because of that history that was documented, and then later you have what? Heritage. What becomes heritage is the culture that can't be practiced on daily basis, such as amabheshu inhloko. You can't wear that thing every day. So it means it is preserved as heritage, because heritage is an inheritance, but culture is the manifestation of a human intellectuality being passed down from generations to generations, being morphed around because of environment and time. And then you have what you call traditions. So can you hear me now? Kunomehluko phakathi kwesiko, usiko, yisikompilo, yisikothi, bese kuzoba usiko nkolo. Usiko into yakini, njengokusika kweminwe, njengokugcatshwa kwabantu, usiko lakweni. This is why uma ungayenzanga leyo nto ugcina sekuthiwa uyabona njengoba esele kanjena nje, egula kanjena nje, engakwazi nokugrasp esikoleni. It's because akenzelwa ngusiko. But it's a man-made thing. These things that can still be negotiated with those who are on the spiritual realm. And then isiko, it's what that nation resembles. such as umqombothi kuyaziwa ukuthi abantu base South Africa mabenza umsebenzi baba nomqombothi kuba nenyama uyisiko ke lelo akukwazi ukuthi uma kwenza umsebenzi singabikho lezo zinto bese kuba khona usiko nkolo yilokho esikholela kukhona siyakwenza siyolima insima nomkhubulwane mhlawumbe kuthiwe uma kunomsebenzi konke kuthiwa amaqhaga ama present nje sengathi ama present afika nabelungu nje sasivele nje silokhuza siphana konke kuthiwa umnjonjo uma ngabe uzushaya nina kini omakhelwane baqala balungisa utshwala ukuthi makuphela utshwala lapha kubo komcimbi abantu baqala bathe ake siyodla umnjonjo kuthiwa njonjo kubona usudlile kuvakashelwane. We don't have that because today we were taught to mind our own business, to stay on our own lane. If you're an African, you never stay on your own lane.
Hey, your lane is my lane.
Yes, your business is my business. This is why I saw a program on TV, but so I saw another program on television. They were saying, what does it mean when we are talking about the issues of our culture and heritage and they say ibuye emasisweni azikwazi ukubuya emasisweni ayikho into eyasiselwa belungu ayibuye emaseleni ukusisa it's another culture yokusizana. If we are poor you gather with other community members and say let's help Mr. Khoza and then maninginikeza inkomo ezalayo nengazali uma ngabe isizele masenibona ukuthi sengimzibile sekuthiwa hayi emkhathini ayibuye emasisweni bo isihle. So when you are relearning your culture from what the colonizers did to us akukhona ukuzibuyisa emasisweni ayikho into eyisiswe kubelungu asiyekeni lento ukuthi ayibuye emasisweni isibeni lento. Yes
okay nakula ngathi sebafuna ukusivala la kwa Instagram
sesiphelile isikhathi
athi ke ngibheke nje la imibuzo khona bekacelela please share with us the books you read or just books to this vast knowledge.
A
few seconds on that.
Unfortunately, these are the things that I figure out by myself by asking questions around.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. And then uMadlamini useyosixolela ke la isikhathi ubecele ukuthi uchaze ngosiko lokugcaba. I think we should have maybe another session for
you know what, let's if we still have time, just let's restart and just take 20 minutes to explain what can we discuss white wedding and then uMadlamini ubethe
ucela kuchazwe ngosiko lokugcaba.
Okay, ivale right now and then but it's gonna be like really 20 minutes.
All right. Okay, nibuyeke bafethu uma ngabe ninembuzo nibuye nayo